Shawnigan Lake, property taxes of $11,716, and the cash cow of the CVRD. I'm speaking on the minutes that were just approved for February 28th, and the tax increase. I'm sure it's probably just been passed, but I'd like to have my piece said. My granny used to say there were two guaranteed things in life, death and taxes. Well, I experienced the death part in October when our big brother died, and he was a quarter owner of our family property, but lived on the half across the street. We may be forced to sell our family property, but I fought so hard to protect for potential capital gains of over $250,000. How messed up is that? Sorry. Taxes may be the death of our property. Now, you want to raise the property taxes by 16.35%, so you can hire more staff, buy fancy garbage trucks and bankrupt pan disposal, and buy more parks, where you already have $3 million in a Parks Reserve Fund. And Parks is currently ripping the riparian shoreline out in Shawnigan Lake for a rail trail, and the gravel deposited from the rail trail has killed 7 baby fish that we know of so far. You sit here like dragons hoarding our tax dollars. You're going to create more homelessness and more pain for your communities that you live in, that your business is in, that you sell your eggs in. You have to show your face in this community, or hide in shame. You work for us, and we've had enough. We are in hard times, where food banks are run off their feet, where children go hungry, where drug addicts roam the streets shooting up in public parks, and yet we want more money. You work for us, not the UN, not the WEF, and not ICLEI. You say you feel unsafe. Maybe if you weren't bullying your community by taxing them to death, you might find your community could be your greatest ally. Community can do amazing things. I live in a house renovated for my injured partner by the community, volunteered. The community stopped the toxic dump, not the fancy lawyers that we taxpayers pay for, the community, common unity. I want to believe you're about the community more than the 33% raise that you gave yourself last year. But actions speak louder than words. You demand respect, but you give none. You are becoming the enemy of your own community, and you have a chance today to prove that you are listening to us and reduce this budget. We don't need more parks unless we can live in them when we're homeless. We need to be able to stay in our homes, have heat, food, clean water. We want to feel safe and listened to. The world has become a very scary place in the last few years for many people, and we need to change that. My granny said, if you want to change the world, start with your local government. You can either change with us, or you will be forced to. The people are uniting, and you will find their force if you continue on this path. You're here to represent us, not rule over us. This, as I always say, the people united will never be defeated. I have 26 seconds left, and I'm going to say, I checked the
Actually, you're over time, Sheila.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Thank you. I have David Pink.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is David Pink, and I'm speaking this afternoon on behalf of the membership of the Land Keepers Leadership Society. We do acknowledge, excuse me, we do acknowledge the change that you made in the Parks Acquisition Fund and recognize it as a good first step. We do find it curious that the directors from the City of Duncan and the municipality of North Cowichan chose full steam ahead for the full Parks Acquisition Fund. We want to repeat what was said at the meeting of February 28th. The CVRD spending habits are out of control. Referring to an article in last week's Citizen newspaper, the chair stated the province was downloading responsibilities to the CVRD, hence the reason for tax increases. Not the only reason, but one of the reasons. We would suggest to you that the province has not downloaded building trails for Shawnigan Lake at the cost of $1 million. We would suggest to you the province has not downloaded putting pan disposal out of business and then spending millions of dollars to buy equipment and hire more people to do the same job as the present private business is doing. The province has not suggested you then charge the residents up to 3 times what the residents are paying for the present private sector business at the moment. The province has not said to buy a water system in Shawnee Lake for $3.2 million. The CVRD should go back to operating the government of the region instead of buying more private sector operations in order to acquire more control and tax on residents and business. As taxpayers in the CVRD, we must insist that you move out of running business in the CVRD. These businesses should be operated by private sector. Mainly all the solid waste system at the CVRD Bing transfer station is a good example. The CVRD can in no possible way compete with the private sector when it comes to handling solid waste. This in itself would reduce taxes considerably to the taxpayers. Many North American cities use private business for solid waste. Do not buy any more parks nor build any more trails within the existing parks, and sell off the lands the CVRD that is not presently needed. Almost the whole region we live in is one big park. You've got to step 10 minutes off any highway or road and you're in the middle of nowhere in a beautiful park setting. And the other thing is, it's time to look in-house for some of these tax cuts to be made. Reduce the size of the CVRD operations, which has grown significantly. You will find service improves dramatically, and this is proven in other regions, improves dramatically when there is less staff. According to your 2022 financial statements, 107 staffers earn over $75,000 for a total of $10.7 million. The remaining staff for the CVRD earn $10 million for a total regional remuneration of $20.7 million. Thank you for the opportunity to express our feedback.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, next on the list. I have Adriana Richards.
Hello, Chair and Directors. Representing the Citizens Oversight and Accountability Project, a group of engaged and concerned citizens concerned about their diminishing quality of life at many hands of one of which is the CVRD. When you raise taxes, it also affects the municipalities that pay CVRD taxes. So this issue affects the entire valley. As I know many fellow speakers will touch on multiple numbers within your budget, I'll just speak on one topic that affects the budget that seems to steer all direction of the board: climate and the environment. When I see reports such as your new normal Cowichan, whose committee was filled with people here in this room, as well as regular speakers to the board that represent large NGOs, just like there is on multiple other committees, such as the Watershed Board, it seems there's no room for any debate or questioning of said models or projections presented as fact in these reports. The climate projection report created by well-paid consultants showed just models relied upon for 50 years that have never come to fruition. Why does it matter what you believe or what we believe? It wouldn't if it did not so seriously affect the men and women of the valley financially. Not one director attended the multiple town halls that we've held on this topic, showing there is a rigid stance that will not allow for differing views. Because of your quest to believe that you can change the weather, it seems you have lost focus on the people that reside in the valley and spend millions a year on the Environment and Climate Department, consultants, traveling, and attending seminars, and now the parkland acquisition. A nice name, but we've heard both the chair and Mayor Douglas speak about meeting 30 by 30 goals. So why would they speak about a goal that was created by the UN at the COP15 gathering? It sounds nice to preserve land for sure, but these goals are not for the family parks, are they? They are to the untouched lands and water. Whose land here will be sacrificed to meet this goal when the majority of Canadians live in 2 provinces and 70% of Canada is uninhabited? Would this goal not be so large locally that it would have to go to a referendum? Or are we relying on this being a tacit agreement, meaning if we don't say no, we would agree by default? We have referendums over community rec center fees, but not over the fact that the board has accepted United Nations global goals. Do your constituents know what these plans actually entail on their part? The sacrifices they will have to make? These policies.
Yeah, I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
valley in taxes and personal sacrifice. We wonder at what point liability will come into play, as this looks like a violation of your fiduciary duties as elected representative. As you forge ahead with the blinders on towards not voted on global goals that the CVRD will never make a difference to anyway, it is well known that you rely on provincial and federal tax money in the form of grants as long as you go along with these agendas.
Thank you, your time is up.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Mr.
I'm just wondering if some people would just pretend to at least pay attention to the speakers here.
Yeah, well, many of us are actually taking notes, but thank you. Mr. Robbins? I have Ruth Liddell.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon, Chair, corporate bureaucrats, and directors. My name is Ruth Liddell, and I am a Cowichan Valley shareholder and member of Landkeeper Society. I'm here to state my position that any property tax increase beyond 7% is unacceptable. I canceled a very important family appointment today to attend this meeting to voice my objections. My cousin is a disabled person and lives independently with support from me. He owns a mobile home in a park, and the park owner is finding it hard to continue on. His costs are rapidly escalating, and he's been faced with multiple orders to upgrade in the park and meet new and challenging regulations. Climate change mitigations are now a costly component of these upgrades. Government-funded economic development programs have brought investors to his door. They're prepared to pay him millions of dollars. There is one condition: all mobile owners must be evicted. Suddenly, multiple residents are faced with nowhere to go, including my cousin. It's becoming increasingly clear that governments at all levels are making it more and more difficult to maintain private property ownership. Increased property tax, fees, fines, property upgrades are all part of the financial burden faced by owners. Carbon tax increased by 23% April 1st will cause the cost of living to increase. Hydro cost is going up as well, and the BC minimum wage is now going up to $17.40 beginning of June. BC home insurance premiums are also rising. Decisions being made locally that citizens are just now becoming aware of are causing fear to spread. People are afraid of losing their homes. Local media is often government funded and has regularly published biased opinions portraying citizens in a negative light. One day prior to the event of February 28th that brought approximately 200 people out to express concerns about the excessive tax increase, a negative message was spread far and wide on social media. The message came from this room. It was condescending, fear-based, and predicted that the event would be a fireworks extravaganza. Would one of the directors please state who was responsible for this message and what was the intended consequence? The board needs to publicly apologize for the harm done to concerned Valley citizens. Thankfully, the Westwood Independent free newspaper, Free Press, is being published regularly. The truth about Valley issues is now available, and the word is being spread far and wide. An online preview of issue 10 is available. A very important article published in this issue reveals truths about the regional districts' behind-the-scenes, secretive backroom dealings. Last meeting, I spoke about global uprisings against governments at all levels. The protest in Canada started right here in the Cowichan Valley. Quebec now has thousands of farmers, truckers, and people of all walks of life out in the streets protesting. I quoted Nadine Lamon's demand published in the Online Citizen last time I spoke. She said board should resign due to incompetence or corruption. I now add my voice. I too ask for your resignation due to disloyalty to the Valley citizens and the withholding of the truth concerning arrangements being made on our behalf without our knowledge, consultation, and consent. Thank you for your time and attention.
I wish we could clap.
So I do want to get through everyone's list. We have extended it, but we've been having every member so far go over time. So
How do you know your time? Is it on the screen?
Our comments to 3 minutes. I'm trying to let people finish, but thank you.
On the screen.
Robertson?
Okay. Beside the thing. Okay.
Gail Robertson? Oh, sorry. Couldn't see behind.
I'm an old geezer.
Sorry, I didn't see behind it.
Hello to you all. Thank you for letting us at least voice our objections and concerns. Last year, the property tax increase was enormous again. And that rate hike we were told, was because in our area, many people were selling their houses for exorbitant amounts, and so those of us who remained behind had to foot the bill in the way of property tax massive increases. This year, the property tax is going up by 1%. 1%. And yet here we are being asked to pay 19 and now 16%. The question is, if that was true before, why is it not carrying through here this time? I also note the 33% salary hike that you granted yourself out of our pockets. Was this extra amount then to cover that? You are living outside of our means, not outside of your own. You don't have the money, it's our money. And that is the money that you're living on that we can't afford. Thank you.
Hello. I wanted to come up here to give a little bit of voice. I was going to just listen, and when we were asked if somebody else would like to speak, I knew that I needed to speak. Now, I wanted to address each of you here because I didn't know if I should come and say thank you for allowing me to speak, but I remember that you are civil servants, and that's your job, to hear us. I also remember that each and every one of you are paid by us, as you're meant to represent us, not govern us. You're here to represent us. And there's a theme among the speakers here today and those outside. Our constituents here are saying they can't afford this. I am a widow and I am a single mother. And I am struggling to put food on my table. And I have been for many months. And I heard this senior who just spoke before me, a few speakers back, who's on a fixed income and cannot afford it. I heard the veteran outside who said he cannot afford this. We heard the lady who's working with children from our community, our social foundation. You guys are effectively demonstrating to us that you are out of touch. You are meant to be part of this community, and your community is saying, we cannot afford this. We're not appealing to you as professionals and lords and ladies. We're appealing to you as our community members whom we pay, and you're supposed to represent us. So unless you're coming to put food on my table, or that senior's table, or that veteran's table, or those foster children's tables, I ask you to please remember that you are not elites and lords and ladies among us. You are our community. We're appealing to your humanity. We cannot afford this. We have not recuperated from the last 3 years. Small businesses are still shutting down. People are losing their homes. You're taxing us into starvation. And you have a responsibility not to roll your eyes when we're speaking. We should know, not that you're taking notes, but you are attentively listening, because you have to represent us. And if you are so far removed, you cannot. You might as well tell us to get rid of Disney Plus. That's how out of touch you sound. Or tell us if we're starving, then just eat cake. We are appealing to your humanity as our community. You are starving us out of our homes. You are taxing us out of our homes. And we're not going to idly sit by. You are not our lords and ladies. And I did not come up here to curtsy. We're asking you to remember who you are and what your job is, and to fight for the citizens of this valley. That's what we're paying you to do, to represent us
That's what we're appealing to. We're not here to have clapbacks. We're not here for mic drops. We're here because we need to feed our families and we need roofs over our head to do that. And I remind you of your humanity, please. Because I can't afford it. And I know they can't. And maybe you guys can't. But then I ask you to address your privilege. Because Canada doesn't have the rest of that privilege that you're seen to be toting out of our pockets. Thank you.